Hello. We're going to be discussing Chapter 12, Teamwork for the Principles of Management class. Almost all companies now use teams to produce goods and services, to manage products, and to make decisions and run the company. That's a lot of reliability and responsibility put on teams. But for us, why this discussion is important is because it has two critical implications. You will be working in and perhaps managing a team. So the ability to work in and lead teams is invaluable to your employer and very important to your career. There are a number of objectives that are covered in Chapter 12. The most important ones I have bolded for you, I hope to have you to be able to effectively discuss how teams can contribute to an organization's effectiveness, show how groups become teams, why groups sometimes fail, how to build an effective team, show the importance and significance of conflict, as well as give examples of ways to manage conflict. Team-based approaches to work have generated quite a bit of excitement. Used appropriately, teams can be powerfully effective as a building block for organization structure. Organizations like Whole Foods and many others are structured entirely around teams. The company 3M has had breakthrough products emerge through the use of teams that are small, entrepreneurial businesses within the larger corporation. Teams also increase productivity, improve quality, and reduce costs. Further, they enhance the speed and become, sorry about not putting the whole word there, and become powerful forces for innovation and change. Group and team. These terms are often used interchangeably. Because there can be a negative connotation when it comes to the word team, it becomes a little bit cliche. It's helpful, I think, to distinguish between these two terms. A group is a collection of people who interact to undertake a task but do not necessarily perform as a unit or achieve significant performance improvements. A team, on the other hand, is a small number of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose, set of performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. Organizations have different types of teams. While not going into each and every one of them, you can see them on the slides. You have work teams, project and development teams, parallel teams, management teams, transnational teams, virtual teams. Self-managed teams empower employees and can be known as traditional work groups, groups that have no managerial responsibilities, and quality circles. And these are voluntary groups of people that have been drawn from various production teams who make suggestions about quality. Additional self-managed teams that empower employees include semi-autonomous work groups and autonomous work groups. Semi-autonomous work groups are groups that make decisions about managing and carrying out major production activities, but they get outside support for quality control and maintenance, while autonomous work groups are those that control decisions about and execution of a complete range of tasks. When we mention self-managed teams, these are autonomous work groups in which workers are trained to do all or most of the jobs in a unit. They have no immediate supervisor and make decisions previously made by first-line supervisors. Self-designing teams are those with responsibilities of autonomous work groups, plus control over hiring, firing, and deciding what tasks members perform. So, how do groups become teams? As a manager, you will want your group to be an effective team. So in order to accomplish this, you need to understand how groups can become true teams and while groups sometimes fail to become teams. Groups become true teams through basic group activities, the passage of time, and team development activities. If groups are to develop successfully, they will typically progress through the four broad stages as described here in Exhibit 12.2. Groups that deteriorate or move to a declining stage, and temporary groups at an adjourning or terminating stage. Groups terminate when they complete their task or when they disband due to failure or loss of interest, and new groups form as the cycle continues. A little more expounding on those stages. You have forming, storming, norming, and performing. In the forming stage of development, group members attempt to lay the ground rules for what types of behavior are accessible. In storming, hostilities and conflicts may arise, and people are going to jockey for positions of power and status. In norming, group members agree on their shared goals and norms, and closer relationships then tend to develop. In the performance stage, the group channels its energies into performing its tasks. I mentioned the group activity shift. Why teams fail. This is an important area to cover. There are several potential barriers that can impede team success. Ineffective communication, lack of vision, charter, or goals, and lack of trust. With ineffective communication between team members or between the leader and members of the team, some people will over communicate while others rarely speak up. We see that in class. Even when they have something important to contribute, the team leader can help by seeking all members' input. Another common barrier, the lack of a charter, vision, or goal. Early in the development process, the team leader and members should define the team's direction and the roles of each contributor. When teams experience a drop in morale and productivity, persistence, communication, and forward movement can help them return to previous levels of performance. I'll say that again. When teams experience a drop in morale and productivity, persistence, communication, and forward movement can help them return to previous levels of performance. And then the final barrier can occur if members do not trust each other or their team leader. When trust is low, members may spend more time trying to influence team dynamics to protect their own interests than actually performing their job. So, what makes a team effective? Unfortunately, some individuals work less hard. Well, they work less and they don't work hard and they're less productive when they're members of a group. This is unfortunate. Social loafing occurs when they believe that their contributions are not important, others will do their work for them, their lack of effort will go undetected, or they will be the lone person working. Alternately, though, some individuals work harder when they are members of a group than when they're working alone. This is when social facilitation occurs because individuals usually are more motivated in the presence of others and are concerned with what others think of them, and they want to maintain a positive self-image. Team characteristics includes norms and roles. Norms are shared beliefs about how people should think and behave, while roles are different sets of expectations for how different individuals should behave. Norms, for example, um, are like when some people like to keep information and knowledge to themselves. Within teams, individuals or members should try to establish a norm of knowledge sharing because it can improve the team performance. These norms can actually be negative or positive. In some teams, everyone works hard. In other groups, employees are opposed to management and do as little as possible. Within teams, two important sets of roles must be performed. And those roles are that of the task specialist and the team maintenance specialist. The task specialist is an individual who has more advanced job related skills and abilities than other group members possess, while the team maintenance specialist is an individual who develops and maintains team harmony. It is of great importance to note that superior team leaders roll up their sleeves and do real work to accomplish team goals. They don't just supervise. One of the most important properties of a team's cohesiveness One of the most important properties of a team is cohesiveness, and this refers to the degree to which a group is attractive to its members. Members are motivated to remain in the group, and members influence one another. When teams are winning, players talk about the team being close, getting along well, and knowing one another's games. In contrast, losing is attributed to infighting and divisiveness. Managers should seek to build teams that are cohesive and have high performance norms. I want you to think about this slide for a second. Is conflict always negative? Under what circumstances might a team leader want to stimulate conflict in a team? Conflict is actually a normal part of life in organizations. Keep in mind there are many different ways to manage and resolve it. There are benefits to conflict. Imagine that. Typically, conflict can foster creativity when it's about ideas rather than personalities. People believe they have benefited from a conflict when they see the following outcomes. Something like a new solution is implemented, the problem is resolved, and it's unlikely to come up again. Work relationships have also been strengthened, and people believe they can work together productively in the future. Conflict management strategies include what you see here: avoidance, accommodation, compromise, competing, and collaboration. I urge you to read through those to see how these strategies can be implemented. Okay, now I want to remind you to ensure that you get your homework and quizzes submitted by Friday at 11:59. I look forward to going over with you the registration process and advisement. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in class.